Let me ask you a simple question. When does your week actually begin? Is it Monday morning when the alarm goes off? Or is it Sunday night with a pen, a quiet room, and a written plan? You see, the average person starts their week by accident. But the successful person, they start it on purpose. They don't wake up and hope the week goes well. They wake up and already know what must be done. Here's the truth, my friend. If you don't run the week will run you. And life has a way of filling your schedule with someone else's priorities if you don't fill it with your own. Planning your week, it's not just a productivity trick. It's a discipline. It's a declaration. It's saying I refuse to drift through 7 days of my life without direction. Because let me tell you, your dreams are too important to leave to chance. Your goals are too precious to leave to memory. And your time, it's not unlimited, so you'd better start treating it like gold. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why planning your week is one of the most powerful success habits you'll ever build. And once you master this, you won't just get more done, you'll become more. Time is the most valuable investment you have. Let me begin with a bold statement, and I want you to let it settle deep. Time is more valuable than money. Now I know that might sound strange the first time you hear it, but I'll say it again. Time is more valuable than money, because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Time is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, educated or not, living in a palace or a rented room, we all get 24 hours in a day. That's the deal. And the question is, what are you doing with yours? You see, when you spend money, you can sometimes get it back, but when you spend time, it's gone forever. And if you don't learn to value your time, to treat it with the respect it deserves, life will quietly slip by while you're busy doing things that just don't matter. Let me give you a simple formula for success. Don't just spend your time, start investing it. Now, what does that mean? It means using your time in a way that produces a return. You go to the gym, that's an investment in your health. You read a good book, that's an investment in your mind. You sit down Sunday night and plan your week. That's an investment in your productivity, your discipline, your peace of mind. And let me tell you something, those small investments add up. Little by little, day by day, they start building a future, and eventually you'll look back and say, I'm glad I was intentional. I'm glad I chose wisely. But it also works the other way. Time wasted is opportunity lost. Scroll long enough, sleep in often enough. Avoid decisions long enough, and you'll find yourself 5 years older, with the same goals, the same dreams, and the same regrets. The price? It was time. And you never got it back. Now here's a key idea. I want you to write down if you're taking notes. Your calendar is a reflection of your values. Want to know what someone really cares about? Don't ask them, just look at how they use their time. Because if you say family matters, but you haven't had dinner together in a month, there's a mismatch. If you say growth matters, but there's no time for reading, learning, or planning, something's out of alignment. It's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter with the time you've been given. Now let's go deeper. When you plan your week, you're not just filling a calendar. You're placing value on your life. You're saying these hours matter, this life matters. What I do this week counts, and here's the truth. Most people don't run out of time because they're too busy. They run out of time because they never planned it. They wake up Monday with good intentions, and by Friday they're wondering where the week went. Sound familiar? Let me challenge you with this. Don't let your week be a mystery. Make it a masterpiece. Plan your calls. Schedule your workouts. Block time for thinking, reading, resting, learning. Put down your goals. Write down your action steps. Protect your mornings. Control your evenings. And don't give your best hours to your worst distractions. Why? Because every week you waste is a piece of your life you never get back. And listen, no one plans to waste time. They just don't plan not to. So what's the solution? Be a good steward of your time. Honor it, guard it, use it like a millionaire uses their investment portfolio, with precision, discipline, and purpose. Because when you begin to treat your time like it's worth gold, life will begin to reward you like never before. Let me leave you with this final thought. You are the CEO of your own 168-hour week. That's what you get. 168 hours. No more, no less. What you do with those hours will determine your future. Success, growth, peace, energy, progress. They're all hidden inside your calendar. So take out that planner, grab a pen, and decide right now to invest your time like your life depends on it, because it does. If you don't run the week will run you. Now let's get one thing straight. Every week has a plan. The question is, Is it your plan or someone else's? Because if you don't sit down, if you don't set the pace, if you don't map out the mission, life will do it for you. And let me warn you, life's default plan is chaos. You see, we live in a world full of noise, notifications, distractions, to-dos, interruptions. Everybody wants a piece of your time. Your phone wants your morning. Your inbox wants your focus. The world wants your attention. And if you're not careful, you'll give it all away. Now let me say something that might sting a little. If your week always feels out of control, it's probably because no one's driving. And friend, you were never meant to be a passenger in your own life. You were meant to grab the wheel. Here's a rule I live by. Don't start the week until it's finished on paper. That means before Monday ever arrives, I already know what matters. My schedule is not a surprise. My goals aren't a guess. And my time, it's spoken for, because I planned it that way. But most people, they start the week with hope. I hope I get to the gym. I hope I find time to work on that project. I hope things slow down so I can catch up. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is beautiful, but hope needs a plan. Because here's what happens when you don't plan the week. The urgent always wins over the important. The little fires burn up your big goals. The calendar gets filled with meetings, errands, and mindless tasks. And the dreams, they get pushed to someday. Let me give you a word: intentionality. That's the secret ingredient. Because the week doesn't care how talented you are. It rewards those who are intentional. Those who decide before the noise begins how they want to live. Think about it like this. Would you build a house without a blueprint? Of course not. You wouldn't leave it up to the weather and the wind and the workers' whims. You'd measure, you'd draw, you'd design, because it's your house. Well, your week is your house. Your time is your foundation. And if you don't build it on purpose, it'll collapse under pressure. Now here's a challenge I want you to take seriously. To run the week like a leader. Leaders don't wait. Leaders don't react. Leaders plan. They anticipate. They act first. When you run the week, you choose your priorities. You don't leave them to chance. You block time for what matters. You say yes to growth and no to guilt. You move from survival to strategy. Listen to me. Life doesn't slow down. There's no pause button. You'll never find the time. You've got to make it. And that only happens when you sit down, calm, focused, intentional, and run the week before it starts running you. Now let me give you a simple exercise. I call it the Sunday night strategy session. It's not fancy. It's not complicated. It's just this. Before the new week begins, you take 30 minutes. You sit down with your planner. You ask yourself, what matters this week? Then you write it, schedule it, own it. That small habit, it's a game changer. Because when you run the week, your confidence changes. Your focus sharpens. You start showing up with intention, not just inertia. People ask me all the time, Jim, how do I stay motivated all week? And I say, simple, don't leave your life to momentum. Give it direction, and the best direction you can give it starts with a plan. Let me leave you with this. You either manage the week, or the week manages you. You either lead or you follow someone else's priorities. You either create the plan, or become part of somebody else's. The choice, it's always yours. So I say, choose to lead, choose to plan, choose to run the week before it runs away with your time, your energy, and your life. Goals live or die in the weekly plan. Let's talk about goals, those big dreams, those lofty ambitions, the things you write in a journal or say out loud at the start of a new year. Let me tell you something I've learned after decades of watching people chase success. It's not the goal that determines your future. It's whether or not you plan the steps to get there. Week by week, you see, anyone can write down a goal. I want to get fit. I want to write a book. I want to double my income. Beautiful ideas. But here's the hard truth. Goals without a plan, they're just wishes. And wishes don't get rewarded. Plans do. Now most people make the mistake of setting goals once a year, then hoping life will somehow organize itself around them. But let me ask you, what does your goal have to do with this week? Because if it's not in this week's plan, my friend, it's not real. It's just sitting there collecting dust on the shelf of someday. Here's what I believe with all my heart. Your dreams must find their way into your weekly routine, or they'll never see the light of day. Let me give you an example. You say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Great. Now show me, what day are you working out this week? What time? What are you eating on Thursday? What's the strategy when the cravings hit on Saturday night? You see, when a goal is broken into a weekly plan, it becomes a commitment. But until then, it's just an idea floating in your head, hoping to survive the chaos of everyday life. Here's a key lesson. The weekly plan is where vision becomes action. The big dream, that's the what. But the weekly plan, that's the how. You want to grow your business? That means calls on Monday, follow-ups on Wednesday, content creation on Friday. It means blocking time. It means assigning tasks. It means no more guessing, just doing. Without the weekly plan, goals stay blurry. They feel overwhelming. They haunt you instead of help you. But with a clear weekly plan, you wake up with direction. You measure your progress. You build momentum. Let me tell you, momentum is magical. You don't need to do it all today. You just need to do what matters most. This week. And when you do, week after week, you stack results. You build belief. And soon, the person who once hoped for a goal becomes the person who lives it. Now let me give you something practical. It's what I call the goal to week transfer. It's simple. On Sunday night, take 5 minutes. Look at your top 3 goals. Then ask yourself this one question. What specific action can I take this week that moves me closer? Then put it in your calendar. Not your to-do list, your calendar. Because if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. And don't try to do 10 things. Pick 1 or 2 needle movers. Do them well. Then celebrate the progress. You see, success doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things, consistently. Let me say that again. Success is not about intensity, it's about consistency. And weekly planning is what keeps you consistent. Now I've met people who've had the same goal for 5 years. They talk about it, they dream about it, but they never translate it into weekly action. And I'll tell them gently, your goal didn't fail you, you just didn't give it a chance to live. Because goals don't survive in the clouds. They thrive in the dirt, in the daily grind, in the decision to make time, take action, and follow through. So here's the challenge. This week, don't just hope, plan. Don't just write the dream, schedule the steps. And don't wait for the perfect week, because that one's not coming. Just use this week, right now, as imperfect as it may be, because this week is the soil. And if you plant your goals here, they'll start to grow. So I leave you with this thought. Your goals don't need more motivation. They need a map. And that map, it starts with your weekly plan. Planning creates clarity, and clarity fuels confidence. Let me begin with a principle that can change your entire week. Clarity is power, and planning, that's how you get it. You see, most people don't lack intelligence. They don't lack ideas. They don't lack ambition. What they lack is clarity. They wake up in the morning with fog in their minds. They start the week unsure, distracted, pulled in 10 different directions. They don't know what matters most. So everything feels urgent. And when everything feels urgent, nothing gets done right. Now here's the key. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from planning better. You don't need to sit around waiting for inspiration to strike. What you need is to sit down, take a deep breath, and put your plan on paper. You see, a written plan, no matter how simple, clears the fog. It says, this is what I'm doing. This is when I'm doing it. This is why it matters. Suddenly, you've gone from confusion to direction, from stress to structure, from guessing to knowing. And that shift, that clarity, it doesn't just make you more productive. It makes you more confident. Because confidence doesn't come from hype. It doesn't come from loud music or motivational quotes. It comes from knowing where you're going and what you're doing next. Let me give you an example. Picture 2 people starting their Monday. One has a plan. They've blocked their time. They've listed their top 3 priorities. They know when they'll work, when they'll rest, and what needs to move the needle. The other, they've got a vague idea, a mental list, a calendar full of white space, and a mind full of noise. Now tell me, which one walks into the day with confidence? Which one handles distractions better? Which one is calm under pressure? It's not even close. You see, when you've got clarity, the world feels less threatening, your day feels less chaotic, and your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. But here's the catch. Clarity never shows up on its own. You've got to chase it. You've got to create it. And you create it through planning. That's why I say don't just carry your goals in your head. Put them on paper where they can go to work. Don't trust your memory. Trust your schedule. Don't try to juggle it all, structure it all. Now I want to share something important. Planning isn't about being rigid. It's about being ready. It's not about predicting every minute. It's about deciding what matters before the noise begins. Because if you wait until the world wakes up, until the emails roll in and the problems start, you're already behind. The chaos has already started writing your story. But if you take just 30 minutes on a Sunday night to ask what matters this week, what am I building? Where does my energy need to go? Then suddenly, you're in charge again. And when you're in charge, you walk taller. You speak clearer. You move with intention. Because clarity fuels confidence. And confidence, that's what gets things done. Let me give you a final thought here. Some people say they don't plan because they don't feel confident. They think, I don't know where to start. I'm overwhelmed. I'll wait until I'm more sure of myself. But that's backwards. You don't wait for confidence to plan. You plan so confidence can show up. Start small. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, write out the day. Write out the week. Block a few hours. Pick your top 3 priorities. Even a rough draft is better than no draft. And once you see it in front of you, you'll feel it. That surge of clarity, that sense of purpose, that quiet confidence that says, I've got this. Because now, you're not just reacting to the world, you're directing your life. So I say to you, don't wander into your week blind. Walk into it with clarity. Build your confidence, one plan at a time. And when others are stumbling through the fog, you'll be moving forward with power. Why? Because you took the time to plan. And planning, my friend, is how you lead your life before life tries to lead you. Weekly planning reveals priorities and protects them. Let's talk about priorities. Now here's a truth I want you to never forget. Everything in life may feel important, but not everything is. That's the trap. That's what steals your time. That's what keeps you busy, but not productive. You see, the danger isn't doing the wrong thing. The real danger is doing the second right thing over and over until the first right thing disappears from your life. That's why weekly planning isn't just about organizing tasks. It's about organizing your values. It's not just what goes on your calendar. It's what gets protected on your calendar. Because when you plan your week, you're not just asking, what do I have to do? You're asking, what matters most? And that's where the power lies. That's when you stop living in reaction mode and you start living by design. Now let me give you a simple idea that changed my life. If it's not scheduled, it's not real. You say your health is a priority? Good. Show me what time are you working out this week. You say your family is a priority? Great. Show me when's the next dinner, the next outing, the next conversation with no phone in your hand. You say your goal matters? Excellent. Show me where's the time block, where's the focused hour. You see, the problem isn't that we don't care. The problem is we don't plan like we care. And what's not protected gets replaced. Replaced by emergencies, replaced by distractions, replaced by other people's agendas. And let me tell you, the world has plenty of plans for your time if you don't make your own. So what do? We plan the week with priority in mind. That means before the week begins, you ask what's most important to me right now. Not everything, not someday, this week. And then you make space for it. You block the time, you close the door, you silence the phone. You treat that block of time like a board meeting with your future. Now here's something else. Planning not only reveals your priorities, it protects them. Because once it's written down, once it's in your calendar, it becomes visible. And when something is visible, you can fight for it. You're no longer winging it. You're not making decisions based on energy or mood. You're making them based on what you already decided matters. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's the habit that separates the successful from the overwhelmed. Let me tell you, every yes you give has a cost. And the most successful people in the world, they're not afraid to say no because they already said yes to what matters. They don't feel guilty turning something down because they're already committed to something higher. That's what planning does for you. It gives your life structure. It gives your schedule teeth. It gives your calendar a backbone. You don't get pushed around by requests, or lost in the chaos, or swept away by urgency. No, you lead the week, because your priorities are already on the board. Now let me ask you something. Do your actions reflect your true values, or do they reflect what was loudest and most demanding? That's the hard question, but it's the one that sets you free, because the moment you start scheduling your values, that's the moment your life begins to change. So here's what I recommend. Each Sunday night, review your goals. Write down your top 3 priorities for the week. Then block time for them. Not just a to-do list, a time slot. Treat that block like it's sacred. And when life tries to take it, fight for it. Defend it. Own it. Because those blocks of time, they're not just calendar entries. They're the building blocks of your future. Let me close with this. Your priorities won't happen by accident. They happen by appointment. And every time you sit down to plan your week, you make those appointments with the life you truly want to live. So I say, be bold, be clear, plan like your future depends on it. Because in many ways, my friend, it does. The week is the laboratory for testing and tweaking. Let me give you a new way to think about your week. It's not just a calendar full of appointments. It's not just a set of routines or responsibilities. No, your week is a laboratory. It's a test kitchen. It's your personal workshop where you experiment, evaluate, and evolve. You see, success doesn't happen all at once. It happens by testing what works and tweaking what doesn't. And the best place to do that, right inside the rhythm of your week. Now let me tell you something that should lift the pressure off your shoulders. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be active. You don't have to get it right every time, but you do have to keep showing up. Keep adjusting, keep learning. You see, that's the beauty of a well-planned week. It gives you feedback, and feedback is the foundation of improvement. Try a new morning routine. By Friday, you'll know if it's working. Start blocking time for deep work. By Wednesday, you'll feel the difference or the resistance. Add more margin for rest, or reading, or exercise. You'll see if you're more energized, or still overwhelmed. But none of that happens if you don't plan it, if you don't track it, if you don't treat the week as a living, breathing tool for progress. Here's what I teach. Each week is a test. Each result is a teacher. Each plan is a draft. So don't be afraid to edit. You don't have to marry your plan. You just have to commit to the process of refining it. And every time you make a small adjustment, wake up 30 minutes earlier, reduce screen time, prep your meals, limit meetings, shift your gym days. You're learning something about yourself. You're becoming more aware. You're becoming more effective. That's what smart people do. They don't just power through. They pause. They observe. They ask what worked and what didn't. Let me tell you, winners reflect, and weekly planning gives them a space to reflect consistently. Because the goal of planning isn't control. It's clarity. It's about creating a framework flexible enough to grow with you, but structured enough to keep you focused. Think of it like this. The week is your field of play. It's where you call the plays, run the drills, and review the game film. It's where you measure how the habits are forming, how the energy is flowing, how the results are stacking. You try, you observe, you adjust, then you try again, just a little better this time. And this is key. Don't judge the week, study it. Most people either ignore their week or feel guilty about it, but neither approach helps. What helps is learning. You missed the gym? Why? Too tired? Poor sleep? No schedule? You didn't get the writing done? Why? Too many distractions? Unclear goals? Not blocked in? That's the gold. That's the insight that turns frustration into progress. Because listen, success doesn't go to the person who never messes up. It goes to the person who learns faster. The one who adjusts with intention. The one who treats the week like a living tool, not a fixed routine. Now let me give you something simple. I call it the Friday 5. Every Friday, take 5 minutes and ask these 5 questions. What worked well this week? What didn't go as planned? What drained my energy? What moved me forward? What will I do differently next week? That's it. 5 questions, 5 minutes. But over time, those small tweaks become major breakthroughs. You adjust your morning. You cut a time waster. You find a new rhythm. You say no more often. You protect your energy. You get sharper, stronger, more aligned. And one day you'll look back and say, I didn't just survive my weeks. I mastered them because you tested, you tweaked, and you trusted the process. So let me leave you with this. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a plan you're willing to improve. And every week is your chance to do exactly that. So treat this week like a laboratory. Run the experiment. Study the results, then come back next week. Just 1% better. Because that, my friend, that's how greatness is built. Planning your week trains the discipline muscle. Let me tell you something that's not flashy, but it's foundational. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when you train it. And one of the best workouts for that muscle, planning your week. You see, success doesn't begin when you feel motivated. It begins when you feel responsible, not for the whole year. Not even for the whole month, but for this week. That's where discipline lives. Right inside the 7 days in front of you. And every time you sit down, take out your planner and schedule your intentions. You're not just planning, you're training. Now listen carefully. The act of planning is the first step toward the act of following through. Because when you write it down, when you block the time, when you say this gets done, you're exercising control over your life. And control is the seed of confidence. Most people, they wait until they feel like it. They say things like, I'll see how the week goes. I'll try to fit it in. I'll start when things settle down. But friend, life doesn't settle. And it doesn't slow down just because you ask nicely. You've got to build the habit of showing up on schedule. Now here's the secret. Discipline doesn't start with doing. It starts with deciding. And planning is deciding. Ahead of time. When you write your weekly plan, you're saying this is what matters. This is what I'm committed to. This is who I'm becoming. It's not about motivation. It's about a mindset. It's about showing your future self that you mean business. Let me give you a powerful picture. Every time you plan your week, you're putting a brick in the wall. Not a random brick, not a sloppy brick, but a purposeful placed, aligned brick in the structure of your life. That's how confidence gets built. That's how character gets formed. And that's how dreams stop being dreams and start becoming realities. Now don't misunderstand me. Planning your week doesn't guarantee perfection. You'll miss some things. Plans will shift, life will still throw curveballs. But here's what will happen. You'll begin to trust yourself. And that's where real discipline comes from. Self-trust. When you start keeping promises to yourself, even small ones, like showing up at 6 a.m. for the gym, or spending 20 minutes reading, or turning off your phone after 8 p.m., you build internal credibility. And internal credibility is the engine of discipline. Most people have trained themselves to abandon themselves. They say they'll do something, and then they don't. They plan, and then they ignore it. They dream but never execute. And every time that happens, their discipline muscle weakens, their confidence fades, their sense of agency shrinks. But not you, not anymore. Because when you sit down and plan your week, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, you're lifting that muscle. You're telling your life, I will not drift, I will direct. Here's a rule I live by. Discipline is doing what you said you would do, long after the mood you said it in has left you. And the best way to keep that promise, write it down, block it in, protect it, and then show up. Because every time you do, the muscle gets stronger. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to be extreme, you just have to be consistent. A little structure, a little repetition, a little follow-through, week by week. That's how discipline becomes your new identity. So here's the challenge. Don't treat planning as optional. Treat it as training. And every Sunday night, when you sit down to map out the week, don't ask, what do I have to do? Ask, who am I becoming as I do this? Because when you approach planning as a discipline, not just a chore, you stop managing time, and you start mastering yourself. So I leave you with this. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, and your weekly plan. That's your system for self-discipline. So pick up the pen, open the planner, and train the muscle 1 week at a time. Because that's how champions are made. Win the week, and you win the month. Let me give you one of the simplest formulas for achievement I've ever discovered. Win the week, and you win the month. Win the month, and you win the year. Win the year, and you win your life. That's how it works. Success doesn't come in one giant leap. It comes in small, consistent victories, stacked one on top of the other. And the most powerful unit of progress, the week. Not the decade, not even the year. The week, 7 days. That's your building block. Now let me ask you, what if for the next 4 weeks you didn't try to do everything, but instead just focused on winning each week? What would happen? You'd create momentum. You'd gain clarity. You'd feel in control again. Because 1 week is long enough to make progress, but short enough to stay focused. You don't have to worry about 12 months from now. You just need to handle the next 7 days with purpose. Let me tell you something I've seen over and over. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day, but they underestimate what they can do in a well-planned week. Because when you plan the week, you set the rhythm. You choose the pace. You decide what gets your energy and what doesn't. And when you finish a week strong, when you hit your top priorities, keep your promises, and follow through with discipline, you build belief. That belief spills into the next week, and the next. And before you know it, you're stacking wins. That's the secret. Success loves rhythm, and rhythm begins with weekly execution. Now let me make this practical. You want to win the month? Start with this. Every Sunday night, sit down with one simple goal. Plan a week you can actually win. Not a fantasy week. Not a wishful thinking week. A real, focused, purposeful week. Ask yourself, what are my top 3 priorities? What must move forward? What distractions must I say no to? What habits do I need to repeat this week? Then write it down. Schedule it. Commit to it. Because let me warn you, if you don't plan to win the week, the world will plan to waste it. Distractions are everywhere. Notifications, emails, requests. If you don't set the tone, life will set it for you. But when you do plan, when you run the week like a leader, you start stacking results. You see the progress. You feel the difference. 1 week clean eating, your body changes. 1 week showing up early, your mindset shifts. 1 week working on your dream, you feel alive again. And here's the most powerful part. It doesn't take perfection. It just takes consistency. Let me repeat that. You don't need perfect weeks to win the month. You just need intentional ones. Weeks where you showed up, weeks where you followed through, weeks where you learned, adjusted, and got a little better. That's how success becomes sustainable. That's how transformation becomes your new normal. You don't need a miracle in 30 days. You need a plan for 7, then repeat. Now let me tell you why this matters. Because when you win the week, something shifts in your identity. You start to see yourself differently. Not as someone trying, but as someone becoming. Not as someone who hopes, but as someone who executes. And when you feel that shift, the month takes care of itself. The goals get closer, the overwhelm fades, and the results. They start showing up faster than you expected. So I leave you with this: don't chase the month, master the week. Do it with purpose, do it with structure, and watch how quickly your life begins to change. Because if you can win this week, you can win the next, and the next. And pretty soon you're not just living the life you planned, you're living the life you earned. Planning prevents burnout and maximizes energy. Let me share a truth most people miss. You don't burn out because you're doing too much. You burn out because you're doing too much of the wrong thing, or because you're doing it all with no plan. See, burnout doesn't come from effort alone. Burnout comes from chaos, from being pulled in every direction, from juggling tasks with no priority, from running all day and still wondering, what did I actually accomplish? That's the silent killer. Not work, but disorder. And let me tell you, if your week is always chaotic, always unstructured, always reactive, you're not just losing time, you're losing energy. And energy is everything. Now here's the good news. Planning is your antidote to burnout. Planning protects your energy like a guard at the gate, because when you plan your week on purpose, you do something powerful. You decide in advance where your energy will go, and more importantly, where it won't. You build in your focus, you build in your rest, you build in your rhythm, and rhythm brings relief. You don't wake up scrambling. You wake up knowing. You don't carry everything in your mind. You carry it in your plan. Now listen carefully. Your body was not made for constant urgency, and your mind was not made for non-stop noise. If you don't create space, if you don't set boundaries, if you don't make room for renewal, life will wear you out before your purpose wears in. That's why I always say, planning isn't just for productivity, it's for preservation. It's how you protect the best parts of you, your creativity, your clarity, your spirit. You see, when your schedule is too full of shoulds, and not enough musts and rest, your soul starts to protest. You wake up tired, you go to bed restless, you stop enjoying the things you used to love. That's not laziness. That's a system out of alignment. But when you sit down at the start of the week, and you design it with wisdom, you can feel the shift. You say, this time is for work. This time is for me. This time is for family. This time is for recovery. Suddenly, peace returns. Focus returns. Energy returns. Now let me be clear. Planning your week doesn't mean filling it to the brim. It means giving each area of your life the space it deserves. You don't just plan tasks, you plan rest. You don't just block time for hustle, you block time for healing. You schedule walks, breaks, even quiet. Why? Because energy is a resource you manage, not a fire you burn until it's gone. Now here's a little secret. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. Balance is, and balance doesn't happen by luck. It happens by design. So here's what I recommend. Every Sunday night, when you plan your week, don't just ask, what do I need to do? Ask, what do I need to protect? Build in buffers between your meetings. Block 1 hour just to think. Plan at least one evening where nothing is scheduled. Guard your mornings like gold. Schedule joy. Yes, joy. Even fun must be intentional if your life is full. Because let me tell you, a burned out you is not a productive you. A scattered you is not a strategic you. A tired mind doesn't create, doesn't connect, doesn't lead, but a rested, prepared, and planned you. Now that's a force to be reckoned with. So I leave you with this. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and the best way to do that, plan your week with margin, with meaning, and with mastery. Because when you protect your energy, you protect your creativity, you protect your relationships, And ultimately, you protect your mission. Plan to protect, plan to renew, plan to last. Sunday night, the most important meeting of the week. Let me tell you about the most powerful meeting you'll ever attend. It doesn't happen in a boardroom. It doesn't require a team. And it doesn't need a fancy agenda. It happens on Sunday night. Just you, your thoughts, your calendar, and your future. You see, Sunday night is not the end of the weekend. It's the launch pad of the week. It's your moment to get ahead before the world tries to catch up with you. And I call it what it really is. The most important meeting of the week. Why? Because it's the only meeting where you set the agenda, where you get to decide what matters, where you reclaim your time before the noise of the week tries to steal it. Now, most people roll into Monday morning in a fog, rushing, guessing, scrambling, emails, emergencies, expectations. No clarity, no direction, just motion, without meaning. But the achievers, they show up to Monday with purpose, because they already had the meeting that made the difference on Sunday night. Let me walk you through what makes this moment so powerful. First, Sunday night slows you down. It pulls you out of the whirlwind. It gives you time to reflect, review, and reset. You get to ask the questions that busy people forget to ask. What worked last week? What didn't? Where did my time go? What do I want this next week to feel like? Because you don't just want to fill a calendar, you want to build a life. Next Sunday night brings clarity. It's where decisions get made before the chaos begins, where you decide what you will do and what you will not do. And let me tell you, there is power in pre-deciding, power in saying, this is the direction, these are the priorities, this is what I'm committed to. That kind of clarity, it turns pressure into peace, it turns confusion into confidence, and it turns a good week into a great one. Now here's something most people miss. If you wait until Monday morning to plan your week, you're already behind. The urgent will always beat the important. The demands will always drown out your decisions. But Sunday night, that's your quiet time. That's your protected space. That's where vision has room to speak. So here's what I recommend. Block 30 minutes. Every Sunday night. Just for you. Not for entertainment. Not for scrolling, but for strategy. Sit with your planner. Look at the days ahead. Write down your top 3 goals. Block your most important time. Build and rest. Make room for growth. Decide what matters and give it a place. And listen, make it a ritual. Light a candle. Put on music. Grab a notebook. Turn it into something sacred. Because when you treat your planning time with respect, your life will start to reflect that same order. And let me say this, you don't need the perfect plan. You just need a plan you're willing to follow. And if you check in every Sunday night, week after week, you'll start to see your life taking shape, just the way you imagined. Now let's be real. There are 2 versions of every person. The version that reacts to the week, and the version that leads the week, and the one that wins. That's the one who keeps their Sunday night appointment. So I leave you with this. Don't start the week until it's finished, on paper. Don't wait for the week to tell you what to do. You tell the week who's in charge. Make Sunday night your power hour, and the rest of the week will thank you. Because that meeting you have with yourself on Sunday, that quiet, personal moment, that's not just planning, that's leadership, that's stewardship, that's success in motion. So I say to you, don't miss the meeting. That's the one that changes everything. Plan with vision. Live with intention. Let me say it as plainly as I can. The future doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the prepared. And one of the greatest tools of preparation, a well-planned week. You see, planning isn't just about productivity. It's not about cramming more into your calendar. It's about stepping back and saying, my life matters too much to leave it to chance. The moment you put pen to paper, the moment you start structuring your week with purpose, you're doing something rare. You're becoming a person who lives with intention. And let me tell you, intentional living is powerful, because most people drift. They drift into the week. They drift into habits. They drift into relationships. They drift into mediocrity. But not you. You've made a decision. You've chosen to lead your life, not just react to it. That's what a plan does. It puts you in the driver's seat. It says, this is who I want to become. This is how I'll invest my time. This is what I'm committed to. This week, this month, this year. You see, vision without a plan, that's just a wish. And a plan without action, that's just ink on paper. But when you combine vision, planning, and action, now you're living on purpose. And that's where the magic is. That's when you go from surviving your days to building your destiny. Now let me ask you something. What if you did this every week? What if you made this a way of life? What if every Sunday night You stepped into silence, reviewed your vision, and planned your week with care. How long before your health improved? How long before your relationships deepened? How long before your goals started turning into outcomes? Not long, because it doesn't take a lifetime to change your life. It takes a decision, and the discipline to plan it, 1 week at a time. So I leave you with this plan with vision. Live with intention. Let your calendar reflect your values. Let your week reflect your priorities. Let your actions reflect your purpose. Remember, this is your life, and you only get one. Don't leave it up to chance. Don't wait to find the time. Make the time. Use the time. Own the time. Because when you plan your week, you're not just managing time. You're shaping who you become. So start today. Pick up the pen. Open the planner. Look ahead with clarity. And lead your life like it was meant to be led. On purpose. With discipline. And with vision. That's how you build a life worth living. 1 week at a time.